So through mindful eating principles, we've allowed ourselves to pause for at least 5 minutes during that emotional or stress craving. One thing that tends to work for a lot of people is kind of distracting yourself and trying some alternative, something to fill that 5 or 10 minute window to kind of reset the moment and reset that hunger. So anything from doing dishes or a small chore. Take a short walk, listen to some music, your favorite song, filling that time with crossword puzzles or a game app, for instance, watching a video. Who doesn't love a cat video, right? Talk about your issue or stressor with a friend. Try some deep breathing. Chew gum or reach for a healthy snack to try to fill that moment. The important part is recognizing that you're having that stressor, it's okay, and when you pause in a mindful moment, you're giving yourself a chance to choose an alternative. And that alternative hopefully is something more healthy for you and is better suited to your overall goals. The hunger scale. So the hunger scale is important when we talk about mindful eating because it can help us recognize when is it more appropriate for us to sit down to a meal based on our intensity of hunger, and on the opposite end of the spectrum, when is it best to stop eating a meal based on our degree of fullness. So the hunger scale, simple 0 to 10 scale. 0 being I'm absolutely empty and ravenous, 10 being I'm so full I'm almost sick. So the idea being is when you're trying to eat mindfully, you try to begin a meal or a snack somewhere between a 2 and 3. So you've got some hunger pangs, you're definitely hungry, but you're not ravenous. Again, the idea or the thought is if I'm eating at a time when I am hungry and not starving, I'm going to have an easier time in controlling my portions and how much I put on my plate. Likewise, when you are looking at stopping a meal, best to stop at 6 or 7 when you're just satisfied or completely satisfied versus full, stuffed, or sick as an 8, 9, 10 on that scale. Again, from the standpoint of mindfulness, we're fully aware and trying to be more in tune with our hunger and with our fullness. So that can help us control more easily how much we're actually eating. So next we're going to talk about mindful eating in practice. So what does that actually look like in a day and in a meal when I'm trying to eat more mindfully? First off, you definitely want to avoid any type of multitasking during a meal. When you're sitting down to a meal or snack, that should be the only thing that you're doing. So along that concept, try to avoid, of course, sitting in front of the TV, avoid other devices, cell phones, laptops, etc. Best, of course, as well to try to dine at home more often than not, because when you're dining out, you lose a lot of the control during that meal. Try to eat at a dining room table, again, setting the tone that I'm just going to eat right now. I'm not doing other activities. I'm concentrating on this activity, which right now is eating that meal. I certainly want to enjoy the dining experience. I want to take my time. I want to enjoy conversations with others. I want to enjoy the food and the different sensations that we get from food. Most importantly, we want to make dining the event, not the thing that we're doing along with X, Y, and Z. So not the thing that we're doing along with watching TV or along with working. So make dining the event when you're trying to eat in a mindful manner. So a few more mindful eating tips. Everything that you're doing with respect to mindful eating is hopefully bringing about a situation or scenario where you can slow down that eating process. So, first and foremost, trying to make time, set aside actual time for your meals, so that you're not rushed. Focus mindfully on eating slowly, chewing your food thoroughly. If it helps, try to set your fork or spoon down in between bites. That way, you're allowing plenty of time for that meal. Savor, enjoy the food, the flavors, the different textures of the food that you're consuming. Um, Again, focusing on the hunger scale, do your best to eat until you're full and satisfied, but not stuffed. This will be much easier if you're taking time to enjoy your food, setting your fork or spoon down in between bites, even to lengthen that time with which you are eating. That will be a lot easier to recognize when I'm reasonably full. The opposite end of that spectrum is I'm sitting down and I'm starving and I'm just shoveling food in, and I'm not paying any attention to what's going on. I'm getting a second portion before I even realize that I might be full. So with mindful eating, everything is designed to help you slow down, to eat when you're hungry and not ravenous, and to hopefully stop eating when you're just satisfied and not stuffed. And again, if you're going slow, it'll be much easier for you to fill your plate once with reasonable portions, and possibly not even go back for seconds if you get to that I'm satisfied place within the meal. So remember, a big part about mindful eating is that you're really trying to be more accepting of yourself with respect to your relationship with food. You're trying to be more understanding and be more kind to yourself and not so judgmental. So do what you can to take those setbacks in stride. You may have very specific goals with your diet or nutrition, whether it's weight loss driven or trying to eat more fruits and veggies or cut out junk foods. But we're all going to experience setbacks. So take those setbacks in stride, and don't allow that one failure to derail your efforts along the way. So again, be kind to yourself regarding the food choices that you're making. Be kind to yourself if you've eaten out of stress or emotion. So those diet setbacks are going to happen. Recognize that. And if you make a poor choice, it's okay. Just do what you can to start fresh with the next meal or next day. So if we're trying to eat more mindfully, one thing that's really important to recognize is that our environment can certainly influence our behavior. So we can take steps to make certain that our environment is supportive of the goals and behaviors that we're trying to create. So taking a few steps like cleaning and reorganizing your kitchen can be very helpful. If you're going to try to eat more meals at home, you may want to cook more. So making sure that you can cook comfortably in your kitchen is a big step in supporting some of these new behaviors you may have. Make sure your dining area is warm and inviting. Make sure it's an area you feel comfortable being in. Again, if you're trying to eat more mindfully, it's great to do so in a specific dining area at your dining table versus in front of the TV or out and about at a restaurant. So make sure you feel comfortable and enjoy the space that you're dining in. Do your best to make sure that your pantry and your refrigerator align with your health goals. Again, this might be getting rid of certain junk foods that you're trying to avoid, or at the very least, getting those indulgent foods out of sight, out of mind if you're trying to avoid them, certainly out of stress eating or emotional eating. And of course, do your best to restock the pantry and the fridge with foods that do align with your health goals. If you're trying to lose weight or you're trying to eat a more clean or healthy diet, make sure there's fruits and vegetables, fresh and frozen, on hand. Make sure you've got things like healthy breads or canned beans, for instance, for soups and salads. So definitely controlling your environment can help you go a long way in supporting your efforts to eat more mindfully. Here's a few more tidbits on your eating environment. Again, we talked about the importance of eating most of your meals at home, in your dining area, at your dining room table. One thing specifically that we oftentimes overlook is our diner or dinnerware. Try to use smaller plates. Oftentimes, smaller plates mean smaller meals. There's a graphic here on this slide, just taking a look at the size of our dinner plates over time. And it's not a stretch to recognize that as our dinner plates changed in size, we also started taking in more calories. Now, a lot of other changes took place with respect to our food, more refined foods, larger portions, but certainly as those plate sizes increased, we tended to fill them more readily. So do your best to grab a plate that's about 10 inches in diameter versus 12 inches in diameter, and focus again on the portion sizes that are appropriate for you. All right, so we will wrap things up here. It's important to recognize that, again, mindful eating isn't a specific diet. It's more of a philosophy, more of guiding principles that you can use, hopefully to begin to take better steps towards a healthier relationship with food, to help you eat more appropriate portions, to help control stress eating. And if you do have specific dietary and nutrition goals, mindful eating can certainly play a supportive role in those goals. So if you're wanting to get started with mindful eating, I do try to break things down and make it easy for somebody to adapt a healthy lifestyle change. So just a few areas where you might consider starting your mindful eating. Number one, try to make eating an event to itself. So it's important to make time for your meals. If we're constantly in a hurry, eating on the go, eating out, we're setting the stage for a situation where we're eating too fast. We're not paying attention to our hunger, and that is the exact opposite of mindful eating. Important, very, very important. Do your best to slow down in your meals. Again, using the hunger scale to start a meal when you're hungry and not ravenous. This is going to help you in that process. So slow down, chew slowly, enjoy your food. Set your spoon or your fork or your sandwich down in between bites. Again, focus on lengthening that time so that you can quit your meal when you're full, satisfied, not stuffed. Again, listen to your hunger. Pay attention to that hunger scale. Again, focusing on beginning to eat a meal when you're hungry and not ravenous, and stopping a meal when you're full and not stuffed. And finally, be kind to yourself. Lifestyle changes, whether it's mindful eating or getting more active, it's not an easy thing to do. It's totally within all of our abilities to make lifestyle changes, but we have to be accepting of ourselves if we falter along the way, and we should expect that we might experience some bumpy roads along the way. So definitely be kind to yourself, and good luck as you start your own mindful eating path. As always, thank you so much for listening to this YouTube presentation. If you do have any questions, please let me know at any time. I'm more than happy to help. Email bob@thrivewellnessinc.com. Thank you so much. Cheers, guys.